Williams, and I'm a mental health clinician. And this is, did I say that right? I'm a mental health clinician, and this is Reverb from the Heart. And today we have none other than the amazing, the one and only Tevin, and we're so honored to have you here, Tevin, so that you're able to share your journey towards healing, utilizing talk therapy and running as your way of outlets and your way of navigating the healing journey for yourself, and how you got to your path of wellness. So, hey, what's up, Tevin? How's it going?
Appreciate the introduction. I'm good. No complaints over here. I'm doing well. I'm good. Pretty cool.
um, no matter what, I think there's certain people that's gonna come on here that I have a tidbit to say about them. and
No, it's
Tevin
no, it's
and Tevin is one of them because Tevin is the athlete of the year.
I knew it was coming. I knew
There is never a second that I see Tevin and not think about his Pilates thighs. Um
it.
Pilates thighs, his track star employment. And so I'm ecstatic because I can't wait for y'all to hear him tell his story. Um, so anything that you want to add, Tevin, before we get into it? You think I missed anything?
You got everything. You got everything.
Okay. Oh yeah, and Tevin also is a wonderful father and very patient with his child. If you're ever on his page, you'll see the way that he's gentle, how he approaches his education, how he approaches emotion with his son, and I think it's amazing to watch and amazing to observe. Um, Tevin's the man. So Tevin, we're gonna get into it because now he's blushing, so he's getting
That's
nervous
crazy,
now.
right? That's crazy.
So Tevin, how I want us to start is, can you tell us, your audience, what was your turning point? What was something within your life that was taking place, and you're like, ah, shit, I may need to talk to somebody about this if I'm doing it, if I'm handling it correctly. What was it that prompted you to start therapy?
Um, I think the icing on the cake, if you will, was me seeing the consequences of like holding things in for so long with like without addressing them. And once I seen it got to a point where I was just noticing how it was affecting me and my lifestyle, and the people around me.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, I gotta do something about this. I gotta talk to someone about it because I was real. I'm big on not letting outsiders in.
Hmm.
Um, regardless of how cool we are. Like, for example, if you and I had any type of situation, I'm making my duty to make sure you know other people don't know anything about it. Because I feel like the more people know, the more they'll pass judgment and relationships can get shaky. So,
Hmm.
long time. When I say a long time, I mean years. I was like, when I'm going through something with somebody, me and that person are the only ones that's really going to know about it. I don't need anybody trying to sway their opinion on me, try to make me to do something, get me to do something that I don't really want to do.
Hmm.
Um, but I seen and I noticed I was like, man, I can't keep holding this stuff in. Like I got to talk to somebody that I don't know that doesn't know me, that doesn't know who I'm dealing with, or whatever. Because I just feel like if you vent to someone that you're extremely tight with, I think by default it's going to be a little they're going to be a little biased towards you,
Hmm.
especially if they're not as close to the other person. So if I came to you, if I came to my mother about an issue I had with you,
Hmm.
I'm gonna know you. So naturally, she's going to be like, "Well, Tevin, this kind of person. I know you wouldn't do this. I see what you're saying. Um, Basically, being not to say my mother's like a yes person or whatever. She'll definitely tell me if I'm wrong. But I just think that we're so close, and she's known me, my entire life. It might be um, a little bias activity going on.
Mhm.
Like that's natural because I feel like even with having a son and being like extremely tight with my son, I feel like when the situation comes, I'll probably be the same way. Like his teacher could call me and say, is Amir there at school? And I would be like, okay, well, I know my son, so what did God do? Like,
Mhm, mhm.
aware of that. And I just think people who are close to you, it's just like they're just going to be some type of bias. You may
Yeah.
not get exactly what you need to hear all the time from that person.
Mhm. Ah, okay. So tell I'm curious, and I don't know if you'd like to share some more about, you said you were holding a lot of stuff in and you noticed the consequences of it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
What did you mean by that? What were you starting to notice as a consequence to not expressing it?
Yeah, I noticed I was becoming distant from people. Um, because like I don't really want to involve them in what I got going on, so I won't really, really like talk to them about it. And I just tend to like shut them out. I would just go MIA, not like talk to them without not going like weeks without talking to them, but I would definitely be distant. Um, I wouldn't enjoy the things that I used to do because I was just so fixed on like that issue. And it came a time where I wasn't really like excited to go out with friends, or I wasn't really picking up the phone to call people or text people. And everyone that knows me, like they know I love people. Like I'm just a people person. Like that's just how I am. But it came a time where I was just like, I don't really want to talk to anybody.
Hmm.
It affected my eating habits sometimes. I was just so fixed on that, like holding that stuff in. I wasn't eating how I should have been. Um, and if I did eat, it wasn't anything that would benefit my body. It was just like comfort stuff, like I'd grab some cookies or something, or something that I ain't had no business eating.
Were you going to Insomnia Cookies?
I've been there once, but it was just like I go to the store and I grab some Oreos or something quick because I didn't feel like doing anything.
Yeah.
Um, and I know when you don't have like any type of outlet and you get into that dark place where it's like, man, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to eat anything. I don't want
Mhm.
drinking anything. I don't care how my hair looks. Um, those are like consequences that I mean, like that's what happens when I was keeping things in and I wasn't really like, and I didn't really have an outlet for. It's like I just didn't
Mm.
know about anything. So I'm like, man, something got to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was walking around. Like, it was a period where I didn't care about how my hair looked. Um, I didn't really care about how my clothes looked. Time to time, I would, I throw something nice on, but for the most part, it was just like sweats,
Mhm.
slides. Um, but it was pretty mass because everybody know I like dressing comfortably. Like, like I got,
Oh, so they weren't able to really recognize that
yeah,
there's a shift. Oh, okay.
mhm,
But you knew that because you felt it.
yeah. But
Mm.
yeah, those are like the consequences that happen from like not really getting things out.
Okay, thanks for talking on that.
Mhm.
And so then you decided those are some of the things, wanting to find someone that wasn't biased, someone that didn't know necessarily know you or also didn't know the other person. So they were able to be neutral in some of the experiences that you were going to talk to them about.
Mhm.
And what was that experience like? Like, did it feel like that person wasn't neutral or was neutral?
Yeah. Um, my therapist like helped me out like a huge deal. Where she was able to like really get to the source of like why I was moving the way I was moving.
Hmm.
It's like why do you not feel comfortable about like open up to your mother or your best friend or your sister or your cousin or whoever. And she really got me to like dig deeper to the source of like why am I so bothered about opening up to other people that I'm close with.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I'm definitely like a fair person as it came to like when it came to like opening up. She couldn't be like, well, Tevin, I know you and I know the type of person. So I know you wouldn't. Like it wasn't none of that.
Ah, okay. Which is what you're looking for, because everybody seemed to have an idea of who you are already.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
So,
okay.
yeah.
So, when you finally identify somebody that you want to work with, what were some of how you were feeling? What was going on with you mentally and physically? And did those start to change as you go on? I know you touched on it a little bit, but just like expound a little bit more on where you were at emotionally and how you're able to progress through that.
Yeah, well, prior to going into therapy, I was just like mentally drained. Like, and I know a lot of it is because of myself. Because it's like, why don't you open up? Like, why don't you find a therapist? Um, so I was definitely like mentally drained. Um, but once I got into therapy, I was just like instantly relieved because it's like, yo, I can talk to somebody and like
Mm,
really without any worry that they might look at who I'm dealing with differently, or when I bring this person around, they not going to mug them or anything like that. So that was just like weight off of my shoulders. Like man, I could finally talk to somebody comfortably.
mhm, mhm.
I was definitely relieved. Like even the very first session I had, like I was like, damn, I really like this because it was a new experience
Oh, so that was your first time
in therapy.
in therapy.
hmm Like the traditional therapy, like that was
Mhm,
literally my very first time, and that was in 2022, I think. Was it 2022?
mm,
Whatever it was. Yeah, that was my very first time, and I was, and my partner at the time, she definitely was saying like, "Tell me, you should, maybe you should go to therapy." And I was doing the whole, and I hate how common this is without people, and it was just like, man, I don't need no therapist. I'm cool. Like I don't need nobody to talk to you. um, but I just feel like you never know what you really need until you put yourself in that position. And,
that is so true.
yeah. And so and I remember as soon as I finished that first session, I'm like, damn, I needed that. So I really will give like credit to my ex partner about with therapy, um, because she been told me a while ago, and I was just like, I don't really need it. Um, and I don't really have like a huge excuse as to why I was just like so like standoffish towards therapy. I never labeled it like a bad thing or like man I don't need it. I was just like I'm cool. I know what I'm doing. Like I'm good.
Mm. You know,
He was not good, so
it's so funny. I was on TikTok the other day and came across a video of this man and this woman is saying to him, "You know how to swim?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know how to swim." And then suddenly he starts drowning.
yeah, man.
He's, like, drowning, and it makes me think about, like, how sometimes we don't realize when we're drowning. We do realize that there's a significant changes happening in our lives, like, I think now you can recognize them as the consequences of not doing this, but before, I imagine that it wasn't recognized as such. It's just like, "Oh, I'm just not in the mood anymore," like, it's just a different phrasing of it.
And I feel like people should do it because you won't even realize how deep in your trauma or whatever you want to call it until you start to really like bring it out and really notice wow like where the source came from because a lot of people are dealing with trauma that they don't even know from like their childhood. You will never really know until you actually start to talk about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I would just say like get on it early, even if you don't think you need it. Just try it out. You never know.
It's true. My mom would say, "Nothing try, nothing done." Um, I actually wanted to check in because I know there's a lot of us who grew up in homes where we're told to keep things private or keep it in the house, you know? And I'm very curious about, was there anyone around you that ever spoke about therapy, that ever spoke about talking to someone about their issues?
Yeah, not they. They will always say talk to them about it, but they wouldn't be like you should go talk to a therapist. They would be like, the whole. And I appreciate it, of course. They would be like, if you have an issue, you can come talk to me, or talk to you. They will recommend somebody else, but not like an actual therapist.
Okay.
But yeah, that's as far as it really went.
Okay, so growing up, they would recommend like other people to talk to, and
Yeah,
then it came to a point where your ex was someone who encouraged you to
mm,
talk to a therapist.
yeah.
Okay, so Tevin, did you have any fears or doubts or any uncertainty um, as you start to decide to start making the decision to start therapy?
I didn't have any. I mean, I went into therapy like open minded, because I heard about people's past experiences with like their journey with therapy. um, but I went into it like, yeah, I'm gonna be open. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna lay it all out. So I wasn't like fearful, like, man, this might not work. I was just like, I'm gonna try it and see what it do.
Mm.
Yeah.
It sounds like you had a very open-mindedness to it,
Hmm.
um, which makes me question, did you ever think like, "You know what? What's the worst that could happen in this experience? If I don't like it, then I don't like it. If I do like it, then I like it." And that's
Yeah.
is that what it
Yeah, because I knew like therapy isn't like a contract. Like you don't have to sign up and be like, all right, I'm gonna do 20 sessions over the next 2 years or something like that. Like it's nothing like that. It's like, all right, we're gonna try it out. If you like it, we can continue. If not, either find another therapist or do something else. But I wouldn't
Mm.
have to. That's the thing. Therapy isn't like I said, it's not like a contract. You don't have to like sell your soul to to lock in with therapy. And like
Are you sure?
if you want to do it, if you like it, great. If not, do something else. Like that's really it.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that we're here in the space of this matter because I come across as a clinician, I come across people who talk very often about, me and my therapist, we don't have chemistry or we're not connecting. And so excuse me, I may ask them like, so did you talk to them about the situation? Did you mention any discomfort that you're having? No, I just kept going because I would feel bad, or I just kept going because, I'm already here.
Mhm.
Instead of just realizing that there it isn't a contract. You you indeed won't be selling your soul to, like what Tivin's saying, but you have the freedom, you have the autonomy to say, you know what, this isn't working out for me. I'm not feeling connected to this person. Let me try to find somebody else. And if you who are listening is having a hard time deciding whether this therapist is the right therapist for you, talk to them or reflect on what are some of the things that's causing you to want to stay here or
Mm,
stay in that space when you realize that it's not actually allowing space for you to grow,
yeah.
So I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add to that, Tevin.
Yeah. As far as like picking a therapist,
What did you just say? Oh, keep it. I thought you said kick in.
no, hell no, no kidding, no, no. As far as like picking a therapist though, like definitely have a checklist um as to what you want, your experience to look like. So for me, mine was I wanted them to be black, because I feel like for the most part, black people, we relate on
Mhm,
a billion and one things, but
mhm,
self-explanatory. But they had to be black. I wanted a woman because Um, one of the big things, one of the big reasons I got into therapy was like, relationship issues. So I wanted a woman. So I was like, maybe I'll be able to see things from a woman's perspective as instead of mine. So I was like, I need her to be black. And I wanted like someone around my age. Um,
Mhm.
no one younger than me. No offense to anyone younger, but someone around my age. And
Mhm.
it couldn't be like 60, 70, or nothing like
Stop
that.
it, Tevin.
But I wanted someone like around my age,
Yeah.
a woman around my age and black. So definitely have a checklist that'll make like your experience what you wanted to do.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm glad you pinpointed it. It is very good to know what the intentions of and knowing who you want to work with. Was there any point in your process where you felt stuck, where you seemed to where it's like, I'm having a very difficult time with this thing that you're trying to move me towards. Was there ever a space there that you felt was difficult for you to get by?
Um, yeah, I think the biggest thing was being like such a people pleaser. Um,
Mm,
that was like the main thing. Um, being a people pleaser and transitioning to, like saying no. I feel like that was just like the toughest thing because I've been doing this for so long. Like I've been a people pleaser for years. So
yeah.
like that's what I'm used to, and obviously that's what other people are used to. And I didn't really want, like um, people to look at me differently, like, "Oh, you changed," and like
Mm,
I don't like this version of you or something. Like if that happened, then it is what it is. But I didn't really want that, especially with people that I'm like super tight with. Um, so
oh,
really, like, saying no was really, and even to this day, like I still haven't perfected like saying no. I've definitely progressed, but it's not like perfection. But
mm,
it's just difficult saying no sometimes. So that was probably like
mm,
the toughest part. I'm like, oh shit, it's a situation I'm not really comfortable with, but I'm gonna still do it because it makes this person happy. But going from that to really being like, you know what, I ain't really comfortable with doing this, so let's do it another time, or let's do something different, something like
yeah.
that. That was just like the hardest part.
And did you before realizing that, did you ever had the idea or did you had that knowing of yourself that you were a people pleaser?
Yeah, I don't think I really put the title on it though. I was just more so like going with the flow. um, it was just like situations like I don't know, I make something up. Let's go see such and such movie. Knowing deep down well, I'm like, I do not want to see this damn movie. But I was like, you know what? It'll make this person happy. Let's do it. But
Mm,
honestly, I think sometimes it's okay to like, do something that you really not interested in, but doing it because it makes the person happy. I think to a certain extent it's okay, but once it gets to the point where you like you completely losing yourself, that's when you got to put a lid on it because it's like you
yeah.
into this person that you that's not who you are. So once it gets to that point, then you got to really take a step back and be like, look, I'm turning into a whole different person. That's not really me. Like I'm losing myself. But once it gets to that, that's when you got to be like, yeah, it's a wrap.
Mhm. So, were there like how did that start? Like what are the steps that you had to take to create a more of a balance? It sounds like you're talking about. There are times when you can do something to, like make somebody feel good, but there are times when you have to look out for yourself and whether make a decision based off that. So, how were you able to move past that stuck? What are some of the things that you had to put in place? Like what are some things that you had to change in order to find a balance between that within that.
Things I had to change. That's a good question. Like piggyback off what I just said. Once you realize, like recognize, um, it's something that's like either something that's like you totally against, or you just really not with. That's when you can. I think it's safe to be like, look, I ain't doing that. like if your girl say, hey, let's wear all pink to this event, and you know damn well you ain't fitting pink. You really step and be like, nah, how about we go with like I'll just wear a pink shirt and then, I can
Mhm.
go jeans and a nice tan jacket or something. Really like compromise a little bit, but
Mm.
it's like once you feel like when I feel like it's something that's really not you,
Yeah.
as opposed to something like something small that'll make your partner happy or something. Then
Yeah.
it's like I said, wearing all pink, I'm not with that, but I can do a shirt. But if you want to go see this rom com, that ain't going to hurt me. Like we can go see that. I'll get the snacks. Let's go see it. But yeah, the difference is like once when you realize it's something that you really is really against with that's really going against like your morals or what you believe in, then it's okay to really like shut it off.
Mm.
Something like
So
on a smaller scale. And,
mhm.
sometimes you just gotta bite it. It's cool. Cool.
So after realizing that and then learning about that, what was the first situation, if you can remember, or what was it like when you finally start saying, no, I'm not gonna do that? Like, how did people respond or react to
I
Tevin?
I don't remember. I don't remember exactly what situation it was. But I know I said no to it. but but I think I think the good thing about finally saying no is like you really get to see people at the level that they really mess with you, like how much they really like you. 'Cause if you have a situation where you say no, I don't really want to do this, or really I don't want to go to this place or whatever, their response or reaction is something like kind of negative, like damn, you switching up on me, or damn, why you acting like that? You really get to see, one, you get to see their level of like maturity and understanding, but then you get to really see how much they really fool with you as a person. And if their response is like, okay, well, I understand why you said no, or okay, maybe next time, something like that. Those are the people you really want to keep around.
Mhm.
You really understand. Like sometimes it's okay to say no, and I think
Mhm.
that's the biggest picture here.
Hmm. Interesting. And could can you remember any of the tools or any strategies or any techniques that you learned in therapy to help you to branch into the or evolve into the person that you're wanting to become after making these realization? Was there any tools or anything that you can remember using?
Mm, one thing I was big on, it's funny because I still use it, but one of the things I was big on that I learned from therapy was it's called repair attempts, and I remember that like so.
tell tell the people a little bit about what repair attempts are.
All right, so repair attempts is basically like a situation where you bring a problem to the table with somebody else. It could be romantic, friends, business, whatever. You bring a problem to the table, and you notice things are going a little rocky. Like people get to raising their voice or throwing their hands up or cussing or whatever. And that's when you, the repair team, will be like, all right, look, I see things going a little soft right now. So maybe
Uh-oh.
like, let's take a breather, go sip some tea, go for a walk, and then we come back to it later. But I think like repair
Mm.
team is like huge, like a real turning point. So I'm like, I like that. Like that's cool because that allows the person that had like the hostility or whatever to really calm down and be like, damn. hopefully they realize this, but they be like, "Damn, I yelled
Mhm.
that, I don't even want to talk to me. So maybe I really should just like tone it down."
Mhm.
And that'll like help them calm down and really get ready for, the conversation now. But it's
Mm.
important to like, I feel like you should do everything. There's two things. I feel like you should do everything when you're calm. Um, that's like self-explanatory. Just do everything when you're calm because I think you make better decisions when you're
Mhm.
calm. And you gotta heal before you gotta like heal before you speak. Because in the heat of the moment, you might like you might be talking to somebody and they just say some wild shit to you like, "That's why you this, that's why you that," or "You ain't shit," blah blah blah. And then next thing you know, you done burnt the bridge with somebody that was like, trying to talk to you calmly, and they might not get over it. Like, and that's cool because like, why you say such hurtful things towards me, and I'm trying to, talk to you in a calm manner.
Mhm.
Like talk when you calm and like heal before you speak are like two things that I really live by now.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I can't help but think about like what could like how someone when you finally decide to start using the repair attempt, right? Tool. And when someone's getting rah rah and then you're like, you know what? It seems like we're starting to get very intense. Is it
Mhm.
okay if we pause the conversation right now and then we can circle back to it in a few? Yada yada. So were people receptive to that when you start to use it? Do you find that people were like, oh, okay,
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
good.
I didn't have like, of course, in the moment it was just like, all right, go ahead, but it was like we still stopped having the conversation at that moment,
Mm,
so they could have that little, all right, whatever. As long the goal is to stop right there when you
gotcha.
know, things go south. As long as y'all stop right there, and I think it's cool. Everything after that is cool. And then y'all come back and cool heads prepare.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. So, Tevin, in what way has your life or your relationships evolved since therapy?
Mm. Evolve. I'm definitely more open. So I think my relationships with people have benefited from that alone. Um, because like when you're open, you really get to. It's like you showing your full self to people, and people get to do with that what they want. Um, y'all going to continue to be friends or partners, or y'all gonna fall off.
Yeah.
Um, Me being open has really like benefited, both not even just them, but me as a person. I've benefited myself from being open.
Yeah.
So I think all my relationships now are pretty good. I've never really had like extremely bad, like relationships, but I had rocky moments, of course. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't to the point where it's like, man, I'm gonna kill this
Uh-uh.
motherfucker like that. Yeah, but I think my relationships um, and myself have benefited from being like open.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And by open, you mean?
Just expressive, like really saying how I feel about certain situations. Um,
Mhm.
be like, man, this party going on tonight. Let's go. I'll be like, man, I ain't really in the mood to party, or or we might have made plans for like I said, we made plans for tomorrow or something. Then tomorrow comes, and I'll be like, man, I ain't really in the mood to go no more. So
Mhm.
that's what I mean, like being open.
Uh, that's such a huge transformation from when you started, like even from this conversation, how therapy started was getting in this place where being closed and getting to a point now where it's like now I'm more open. I tell the truth, be honest about how I'm feeling rather than harboring it in and closing myself off from community and support with that. Now this is where we get to learn a little bit more. Tevin, Tevin, this is my favorite part. And Tevin knows what I'm talking about. So Tevin, one of the things that we touched on earlier is your running, right? Uh, please share the story of how that started with our listeners.
I love sharing this story. I, yeah. So I remember it was a therapy session.
Mhm.
The question always sticks with me. My therapist had asked me, she says, "Well, Tevin, what do you do for yourself?" And I remember I was saying, like, yeah, I like playing with my son. I'll be taking pictures. I'll be chilling with the homies, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, like, what's something that you do, but it's like, it's just for you and nobody else. And I was like, damn. Like, and I really couldn't answer. And it made me think, like, damn, that's what I mean. With like, I was being a people please. Like, everything at that time, like, everything was just about everybody else. Like, making sure this person is straight, making sure I'm spending enough time with this person and, being the dad, blah, 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 or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was like, damn, I don't do anything for myself.
Mhm.
And it's, when you think about it, like, really, it's heartbreaking. Um, because when I ain't got nobody to blame for that, but myself, because I'm the one that has to do it. But it's really heartbreaking because it's like, yo, you investing all this time into other people, like you forgetting about the most important person in your life, which is yourself.
Mhm.
So my therapist is like, she's like, I challenge you to find something where it's just you. Like you don't have to worry about anybody else. It's just you. So I don't know if it was that next day, that same day, or a couple days after, whatever it was. It was shortly after that session where I picked up some old ass shoes I had in the closet. I don't know what it was. I was just like, man, I'm gonna run. I promise you to this, I don't know what made me pick it up. It was just like, I'm gonna run. And I remember it was like in the summer, it was summertime too, so it was hot as hell. And I just picked up there was some old ass gold Air Max I had, and I just picked them up. And
What did you say? You said gold Air Max?
yeah, there was some gold. It was kind of ran down, so I ain't really care for
Yeah.
them. So I was like, I'm gonna pick these shoes up and I'm gonna run. Sure enough, that turned into something big. Like
Mhm.
got to the point where I was running. When I first started, I was literally running probably 5, 6 times a week, literally. I started off small. I was doing like 1 mile, 2 miles here and there. But as I progressed, I was that turned into like 6 miles one day, then 8 the next day, then 5, and then like I was really going crazy with the running. And yeah, like it was, but I fell in love with it so much
Yeah.
because it was like, man, like this is me, like this is me spending time with myself, which I haven't,
Mhm.
in so long. Like before, prior to running, I don't remember anything or any activity that I was doing, like for myself.
Yeah.
It was always with somebody, um, whether it's with family, my partner at the time, my son, like everything was just like revolved around them. And I really wasn't doing anything for myself. So running was like, I feel like therapy and running, traditional therapy and running really like changed my life. Like it was really like
Mhm.
a turning point in my life. Um, and that turned into me doing, like actual runs, like half marathons and 10Ks and
Uh-oh.
all that. Yeah, I was getting medals and all that. Like
Uh-oh.
I'm a real runner. Like I'm getting running shoes and the little water
You
bottle.
got
And
Wait, do you got like a time watch too?
yeah, I got yeah. That was a
Oh,
gift
I'm
actually.
curious.
That was a gift for Father's Day. The Apple
Mm.
Watch. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
Devin said.
before my very first one, my very first one was a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. It was like it was called a Dad's Day 5K. That was in like June of 22, I believe.
Please, 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 Tevin, can you talk about the benefit of running physically on the body, mentally and emotionally? Like how, because that was something that you got to do for yourself, but what are also the benefits of that holistically?
Hmm. All right, so physically, running running did my body wonders because when I first started, and this wasn't even intentional. Like I lost so much weight when I first started running. Um, I think the lightest I got to was like I think like the upper 170s. It's crazy because I haven't been that weight since high school. And
Oh,
I graduated high school in 2010. Um, so I lost a lot of weight and it wasn't intentional. Like, I'm talking like 30 pounds probably, like over
yeah,
quick too, like over probably a couple months. Um, and it was just exercise. Exercise does the body and the mind good. So yeah, that was what it did for me physically. Mentally, I was just in a better space. Like I felt free. Um,
mm,
the mindset, like yo, I'm doing this for me. Like this is
yeah,
me. Of course, I was getting tired as hell, like my body aching and my feet hurt. But it was
mm,
this is something I'm doing for me, and it felt good.
yeah,
Um, and it just felt good to finish like it did, like those mental wins. Like I don't care if the goal was 1 mile, I finished that.
yeah,
Like man, I set my goal out to be 1 mile, and I finished 1 mile. So like that was like a mental win.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to that?
I don't know, but I can talk about running all day.
The man is a running giant. I don't know. He's probably. Have you caught up to Forrest yet?
Forest can't fool. Forest ain't my level. Forest ain't
I'm curious, do you think that physically, when your body starts to change, do you think that it also improves your mental capacity to process, to be more patient, to be more, like to have more insight, more clarity? Do you think that that also helps with it?
yeah, because running was deeper than just um like the physical aspect.
I imagine.
Running was it taught me patience. It taught me, like how to pace yourself. Because like say the goal was I set a daily goal for like a 5 mile run.
Mhm.
And, and it was slower than the last time I did 5 miles. Running has taught me like, yo, it's okay if you slow down a bit. Like because at the end of the day, the goal is the goal. Like you
Yeah.
set to run 5 miles, you're gonna do 5 miles. I don't care if it takes you 40 minutes or it take you an hour and a half. Like if you set out to get to do 5 miles, you're gonna complete 5 miles.
Yeah.
And you can apply that to like actual like life goals as well. Like say you want to
Yeah.
make, I don't know, say you want to make, I don't know, $100,000 in 2 years. You
Mhm.
know, that 2 year mark come, you know, you at 85,000 or something. Like that's cool. Like you still want to get that extra 15, even if it takes a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like running has taught me to like really pace yourself and take time, like really take it easy on yourself. Because you're gonna get to the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
May not be how in the time frame that you wanted it to, but you're gonna complete it. That's what's most important.
Hmm. Thanks for talking about that. You walked us through realizing certain behavior and the consequences of that. You've also talked to us about how important it was to transform some of those into something that created more balance for you, rather than not just like from one extreme to the next, but finding the balance in it. You've also talked about how you've been able to introduce yourself to something that is just for you, which was running and Pilates, and changing, which also created space for awareness of diet, what you put into your body. Then you also talked about how it transformed your ability to process, which in turn, not just internally, but also outwardly, how you're able to now take your time with your goal achievements and being patient. Like, sure, if this is the goal, it's going to get there. It might not get there at the time established, but nonetheless, it's being patient to letting it play out. Now, after all of that, it sounds like we are talking about growth. What would you say? How would you define growth for yourself? What is your definition, your personal definition of growth?
I think growth is when you get to a situation that really used to like trigger you, and you used to just like go off the handle without even thinking. Growth for me would be like, that same situation came, it happened, that situation presented itself, but this time instead of, like lashing out, I take a step back and be like, all right, if I do this, how is my future going to look like? How, like,
Oh,
yeah, like, and not even just my future, like with my, like, because I apply a lot of things to my son now. Like, if I do X, Y, Z, how will that affect my son? Like, that's really like the mindset that I'm in now.
mm,
Growth for me is just like becoming more self-aware of how you react and respond to things that used to just like send you off the ledge.
mm,
Like, or
mm,
somebody was to, I don't know, call your phone cussing you out. Back then, you would just cuss back and be like, man, you ain't finna talk to me right now. Both
yeah.
of you would be like, shit, I'm gonna hang up if you call me. Like, you feel
They
me?
better be careful before you get them in your thighs.
Yeah. So,
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. But yeah, so it sounds like now you know where your boundaries are too.
mhm. And it's like, and it's deeper than like, because
Mm,
everything is, I look at everything as like uh, family, friendships, relationships, and like business. Like, those are like the four main type of situations you
yeah.
have. So it could apply to either of them. Like, business could be like, I'm gonna use myself for an example. I be doing photography, or whatever. So if the client was to growth for me would be like, if I took pictures of a client or something, and they would tell me, I don't really like how you edited those pictures or whatever.
Mm.
Back then when I was first starting or whatever, I'd have probably took offense to it. I'm like, man, them edits the shit. What are you talking about? Like, you
Yeah,
go here with that. But
yeah,
now, like, I'm more seasoned, I'm more mature now, so I'm like, all right, even if I don't agree about that comments about the edit or whatever, I can take a step back and be like, you know what, maybe they right, maybe maybe I didn't edit, uh, maybe I didn't make this skin smoother, or maybe I didn't make the colors as vibrant as they could.
yeah,
So now I can take a step back. I might disagree. I can still disagree with it, but the main thing is like, instead of me just like getting so defensive and sensitive about my craft, which I still am, but
yeah,
I can take a step back and be like, you know what, maybe they're right, or maybe I will, take heed to what they're trying to tell me, especially if it's not in a disrespectful way. And my reaction definitely, I won't say it depends on, but I do it better when it's told to me respectfully.
yeah,
I'll use editing as an example. Like, it's a difference. You can say the same exact thing. You can get the same point across by saying it in a nicer way. So if you didn't like my edits, you could say you don't like them, but being like, you can say like, Tevin, I feel like you could have did X, Y, Z better, or could you make the colors pop more? Could you smooth?
yeah,
That's different than, man, you could have did way better with this. Like, You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Huge difference in how I react,
Yeah.
depending on how how it's told to me or whatever. But
Absolutely.
even if it's still told to me like in a negative way, I'm still at the point where I can, I can still take a step back and be like, you know what, you got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when the repair attempts come in too.
That's that's your biggest tool. Um, is there anything else that you would like to share, or is there anything that you think I missed from asking you about that you think is imperative or very important to mention?
Um, I think we talked about it a good deal. I will say, um, anybody, because I'm just so big with like children now. Anybody dealing with children, um, I would say heal and really start to like transition your life to a more, I guess, respectable approach or whatever to benefit your kids as well. Because even with my son, like you'll never hear me yelling at my son. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do, I put a little bass in my voice to like discipline him, but like
Mhm.
I think like looking at kids, and this goes with dealing with kids directly and indirectly, but like dealing with kids, they still deserve that respect, even if they are, like my son is 4, like he still deserves that respect.
Mhm.
Heal your trauma for your kids' sake,
Yeah.
because that's like huge for you. Better their life, better their lives by healing now. Because
Yeah.
if you not, I don't want to say completely healed because I don't know if that's even a thing to be completely healed. But I think it's a thing to be aware of what you need to heal from. Um, so yeah, heal. Be aware of your healing journey for your kids' sake.
Mhm.
Of course, for yourself first and foremost, but for your kids as well. Because I feel like if you're not healed or you're not aware of how you need to heal, your kids are going to feel they're going to have a they're going to be just like the unhealed version of yourself.
Yeah.
So do it for yourself, of course, but really think about your kids along the journey
Yeah.
because they deserve it, man. 'Cause you want your kids to be a way better version of yourself. Like I want my son to be a trillion times better than I am. Like I want there's certain things I want, certain characteristics of my own that I want to like instill in him, and I want him,
Yeah.
but like I want him to be like way better. I want him to be like that. And Tevin was cool. Like, wait till you meet his son. Like I want him to be like a healed version of himself. Like I want his healing journey to start now. Like which is why I'm
Mhm.
teaching to him. Like we do homework assignments now about emotions. Like I'm really big on him like regulating emotions now. Because he's only 4, but my mindset is like the earlier he starts, the better. So like
Yeah.
he's I don't know 10, he might be at the level of maturity that I am now in my damn 30s. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I feel like when you teach that to the younger kids, like that's going to make your future better. It's going to make their future better, and everyone around them. So heal for yourself and heal for your kids. That's what I'm doing on right
Yeah. No, I love that. And I absolutely respect that. Well, Tevin, thank you so much for joining today. And thank you so much for your words of wisdom that you've shared with myself and everyone else that's listening. Until next time.
now. Until next time.